Aw.
He is
Smartest cat that ever lived.
he is brilliant. He's always been a very brilliant cat. I have never owned a cat that was as bright as he is.
He says, thanks for the compliment.
He's 16 and he wants his love and he wants it now.
You know, very, 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 just whatever, very. You always have a cat perched.
Well, yeah.
Always have a cat perched. I'm sorry, Terry has once again brought the show to a screaming halt because, well, he gets attacked by a cat. And that's what happens.
It is what happens.
It is what happens. But there are weird things up in the world, you know. Like, for instance, the A&M athletic director calling somebody and telling them they're the only person who can possibly get ice hockey at the Texas A&M.
Okay.
If it sounds somewhat delusional, it's because it was.
Is it more delusional than having that Gen X dad walk into the shooting range at the Olympics and get silver?
Get silver? I hadn't heard this.
There's if you look at all on Facebook or any of the things there, you'll see a picture of a guy that looks like a Gen X dad wearing a T-shirt that says turkey and jeans with one hand stuck in his pocket and holding a pistol out and shooting it. That's the guy that won silver in the 10-meter. All these other guys are using high-tech glasses and special pistols and all this, and he looks like some Gen X dad that just accidentally wandered into the middle of the Olympics and took silver.
How does that happen? How? That's pretty funny.
There's memes of him everywhere doing shit. And
of course there are.
It's just he's the kind of Olympian we need because he's not using special weird glasses with little monocles in front of them to get, precise looking at. He's just wearing a regular set of prescription glasses, standing there with his hand in his pocket, shooting at the thing with an air pistol. That's all he's doing.
Wow.
And
I thought Snoop Dogg was the Olympian we needed.
This guy, he is the hero we needed.
I don't know, man. Snoop's always walking around with a torch between his lips. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, well, I don't know. That could be any number of things in between his lips, and I'm not really willing to guess.
Be that as it may. Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I'm Paul Lee Cooley. Joining me today, Mr. Terry Nixon. Veronica Jaguar was sacrificed on the altar of bowling, so she will not be joining us this week while she recovers from the bowling incidents that are going on.
Well, there's probably going to be a nacho cheese related jalapeno incident that she's recovering from. I don't know, something like that.
Is that like mandatory if you go to the bowling alley, you have to have the disgusting nacho cheese?
It is entirely possible that that's mandatory.
Is this some kind of because otherwise, how does it get eaten?
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's been there for years. Who knows?
Maybe that's why it's got that consistency. It went bad about 10 years ago and nobody told it. Anything's possible. Regardless of whatever, just, gastrointestinal calamities may befall her at bowling or anything else for that matter. She is not with us today.
Nope.
Hopefully she'll be back next week. But so Terry and I are your only sources of entertainment apart from cats.
So if anybody needs to leave now because you were only here for Veronica, the door's right over there. Just go ahead and hit the road, and we'll see you next week.
Terry, what the hell is going on with you apart from being attacked by cats?
I have been lazy, lazy, lazy. I still haven't started this damn book.
You were supposed to be the paragon of productivity. You were supposed to be the shining torch that hangs out over the air that says, writers, I am here. I am writing. I am creating. Join me.
I'll do that tomorrow.
You can't be bothered right, at the moment. Is that what you're telling me?
Antoine's like, bye, guys. I came for the mistress. Oh, somebody's asking what the dark object is at the top of the door behind me here. Let's see.
It's there to make you do exactly what you just did, which was ask the question.
It's a cat shadow. I've got a bunch of them over various doors in the house.
The man has issues, folks. I don't know what to tell you.
I didn't buy them. My wife did. I went downstairs and saw them over the door and like, where did those come from? She said I bought them. Where's mine? Here. Okay.
Here's 10 or 12. Have fun with them.
I only have 3. So, yeah. Let's see. What else have I got up here? Since we're going down that road.
Oh, God. Terry loves to play show and tell with his office. It's kind of ridiculous. Just kind of.
We have the hanging off the door, and we have just sitting up there.
So, try to imagine exactly what kind of weird things Terry's house looks like when you've got shadows of real cats and shadows of fake cats running around in the near darkness. Thinking I would have serious issues with that. I don't think my imagination would play nice with that at all.
There should be a book about that.
There's probably 15 or 20, and when I come up with one that's mine, I'll write it.
I could write a cat cozy mystery set in my own house.
I am really surprised you have not written a cat cozy at this point. I mean, I'm really shocked.
One day, maybe that's the future of me.
The future of you. You're going to drop out of science fiction and just become a writer of floof?
The floof writer. He's a floof writer.
I'm wondering what the meaning of floofer is in this context. And perhaps I should bail out right now.
Perhaps we should, avoid, we should veer away from this topic, right now, because there's no telling what that actually means. What do you think, Sassy? What does it mean? What's a floofer? She does not know.
I think you're floofing right now. Oh my God. So you've been slacking?
Well, I've been doing things and just haven't gotten around to it, haven't started it. And I said, this Sunday is a great time to go ahead and, let me focus on me. There we go. Get it to start Sunday morning and get back into the swing of things.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's nice. So you've enjoyed finishing that book, and now you're taking that breath.
So, what makes you think that Taylor Swift isn't playing in the background? Maybe I'm a Swiftie.
Furry, Swiftie, what else? What other things can we tag you with while we're here? Curmudgeon.
Oh, that's too easy. That's the low-hanging fruit, my friend.
You're right. That is low-hanging fruit. That's pretty bad. Sentient cat next series, isn't that? Are you still having a sentient cat in the next series?
Yes.
Okay. So that's scratching that itch.
We will see how long it takes the people that are actually the protagonists in this story to realize they have a sentient cat.
Yeah, he's got Taylor Swift in the background of his headphones. Please don't know. Please don't know. Please don't. No.
It's either her or that other chick singing Wrecking Ball,
Katy Perry?
No. It's the one that lost her mind. Britney Spears. Britney Spears. Wrecking Ball.
Okay. All right. Is that all you had to report?
Little girl has come home from the daughter because she is allergic to cats. She's integrating into the upstairs crew. You can actually see her sitting there by the gate in the hall upstairs behind me.
Uh-huh. So she's getting reacclimated.
She's getting reacclimated. She'd like to go downstairs, but I'm not going to let her because she'd cause a lot of chaos down there, and I think she'll fit in just fine up here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Having a lot of fun playing my role-playing game, the Traveler role-playing game that I'm doing online. In fact, today's subject comes a lot from reading some online forum posts about the science fiction setting and how various bits of science and whatnot have to be hand-waved because there's just no way without space magic to make them work. And it's true for all kinds of writing that you have to have Handwavium. And I said, that's a great subject. But I'm having fun playing the game. I'm having fun running the game. It's been many decades since I've run a game, and I'm having a blast.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Miley Cyrus. Wrecking Ball is Miley Cyrus. There we go.
It's amazing we can't get our pop stars correct.
Our crazy pop stars. Oh, it's the wrong crazy pop star. Sorry,
that's the wrong crazy pop star. And we also need to define in this context what crazy is.
When you start backing away slowly, that's crazy.
Okay.
Doesn't matter specifically what they're doing, but they're like doing whatever it is. You're going, oh, yeah, let me slide a little further away.
No, I lean in. I want to get some of that crazy on me.
Ooh, that's the kind of shit that don't wash off, pal.
You'll have to see your doctor in 10 days.
I don't know that they got a shot for Miley Cyrus.
Oh, that's low. That's low. Let's see. What have I been doing? I've been working in code again.
See, you've been doing the same thing I've been doing. You found something that it's been a while since you've done it for enjoyment, and you're just buried into it and having a blast. Admit it.
I will absolutely, definitely admit it. I basically created an app in TypeScript and JavaScript, and now I've recreated the app in Python and Qt.
I personally think your idea of fun is crazy cray-cray, but to each their own.
If nothing else, it might look good on a future resume. But the bottom line is, I'm having fun learning this shit because I never had a chance to learn it when.
Okay,
I was
you're
an actual
talking
developer.
resumes, pal. How old are you?
I know. I'm 53. What do you want from me?
What kind of job are you going to be going out for now? The Walmart greeter? Come on now, pal. That's all you're going to need your resume for.
Surely somebody will hire a broken down programmer at some point.
There's a billion of you guys out there.
Exactly. And most of us know better. Most of us are in high-paying jobs. Not me, not so much. But that's beside the point. Regardless, I've enjoyed doing this stuff, and hopefully this is satiating the urge to do this kind of garbage, and I'll pull my head out completely next week. But I've had fun doing a lot of crazy stuff. No, I can't do COBOL. Nobody on planet Earth should do COBOL. Paul at the Walmart front door. Welcome to Walmart. Get your shit and get out. I've often wondered what the internal monologue is of a Walmart greeter when they see people come in. Especially the ones that are wearing less clothes than they should. I would have caused CrowdStrike to happen.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was going to argue with Antoine here. I was like, I think you have misread the situation, my friend. Paul would totally be behind the CrowdStrike failure. But is it really a failure when it's intentional? Because if Paul was in charge, it would not have been an accident.
It would be intentional. It would be, remember that hole in the process, the QA process I told you about? Yeah. Remember how you ignored me? Yeah. All right, go check your email.
It's been a great day at work. I made so many changes to the program. Now's the time for me to turn off my cell phone.
No. You do the push at the airport when you're boarding. You do the push from your phone.
Now, hang on
right
a second
before.
here, sport. I don't know that you want to do that when you're getting on a plane, okay? Maybe Maybe if you're on a bus or something, I think pushing the crowd strike failure while you're in the middle of a flight somewhere, that's just maybe
Oh, I
asking
wasn't
for trouble.
necessarily talking about CrowdStrike. I was talking about normal push to production. Get on the plane, lose your phone for 2 weeks. Everybody else is like, what happened here? Why does nothing work? Yeah. No, to blame Garaga. No, I wouldn't have. I'd have said,
He saw that, and one of the cats walked in front of the thing with the blamed Garaga thing. And I thought it was a comment based off of the Hannah Montana thing earlier. I thought they said banana Garaga. And I was like, is that a thing? Banana Garaga?
Banana Garaga? No. No, 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 no. I did miss coding, though. I did miss coding. There's just something magical about it when it works, and learning something new and having things clicking into place and logic suddenly makes sense, and you finally put your head around, oh, this works just like this, but it does this, and this completely differently. Therefore, it doesn't work like that at all, does it? And
maybe,
it was a great
you
moment.
should write your own programming language.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
You could call it Garaga, and soon everyone in the world will be talking Garaga. Hashtag Garaga, no doubt.
See, if that was what I was going to do, I would mix C with Python and throw in some Rust notations on top of it and really make it completely complex. And, oh, wait, I just invented Scala. Damn. Can't believe I said that out loud. this, and this, and then the FBI is pounding on the door. There's a language called brainfuck, and I swear Paul wrote it. Don't want to make your own Temple OS? No, I don't want to make my own Temple OS. I'd rather create something useful rather than something that's a lark.
Okay.
Complete lark.
All right, now hang on. This is a deep subject that we're going to have to get into.
Uh-oh.
When have you ever created anything that was useful? You can go ahead, you can stretch the definition of useful a little bit, okay? Because I want you to go ahead and have a chance here, but let's hear it.
Wow. I can enumerate the failed software projects that pale in comparison to the successful ones. But they're successful in the sense that what I made was successful, not that the project was successful.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does. And I know you've done plenty of things that are successful in programming. I just couldn't help myself.
No, I mean, it's ridiculous. And one of the reasons you leave is and you just get out of the industry is you get tired of having the rug yanked out from under you by all sorts of things. It's ridiculous. And at some point, you just stop giving a shit. When you stop giving a shit, it stops being fun, it stops being worthwhile, and it stops being a reason to exist. So that's kind of why I left, I guess. Create the black video game. I would need artistic talent to make that happen.
At least she's not growling at everything when she comes in here now. She would come in on that post there, and there would be nobody near her, and she'd be doing her claws at the post, just growling. No cat near her. Nobody even looking like they're going to go over there.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Anyway, that notwithstanding, I've enjoyed my sojourn and made some interesting stuff and just have to work on it some more. I'll do that tonight. It is Saturday
there she
night.
goes. Can you hear her?
Yeah. If it's not me, she's daring anybody to come down and say something to her.
That's pretty much what it is.
Think the black would be still wakes the deep, but actually scary. The game had so many things going for it. It had the atmosphere right. It had the rig looked exactly like a 70s style rig. It was just, the detail was amazing. And yet they just dropped the ball with it. It's so frustrating. It could have been great. It could have been great. Yeah, as long as it plays good, art isn't important. I agree with that. Don't look at you. So if you've ever had an urge to learn to code, I suggest you do it, even if it's just creating a couple of Hello World style programs or something that reads from the file system and burps something out. It's nice just to learn something new and get a little logic under your belt and kind of explore the wider universe. And it's something easy you can do with just a computer and a text editor. Don't really need much more. So it's something you should try. But this is not a coding podcast. This is supposedly a writing podcast.
But isn't it the same thing? Really? When you get down to it?
Well, that's an interesting question, Terry. When do you compile your words?
During the final phase of editing.
Until then, it's just one big source code document full of missing braces.
And a complete and utter lack of comments.
Unterminated constants, unterminated lines. Oh yeah, I can totally see this. There was a I got to tell a story real quick. When I was at Network Oil, we had these consultants, and they had told me, I asked them when they could have something done, and they said that they would have it done in 5 days. They'd have it written and everything. And I went, okay. So 5 days were up, and I walk in, and my partner in crime is looking at these two gentlemen with a bewildered look on his face. And he says, tell Paul what you just told me. And they said, we're being ready to compile. I was like, what does that mean? What do you mean you're ready to compile? The code's written, isn't it? Yes, but now we are ready to compile. What do you mean ready to compile? You haven't compiled it yet? No, we are being ready to compile now. It took them another 4 days to get their program to compile just to find the errors in it. I ended up rewriting everything myself, but I am haunted by that. We are being ready to compile.
You are ready now to be fired. Goodbye.
You're ready now to be fired. Yeah, it was one of those deals where it's like, okay, this is probably on me for not being extremely explicit about what we mean by a deadline. But still, the code was crap. It was horrible. It was awful. Handwavium the compile. Okay, so we're here to talk about imagination time. Terry. We have discussed this it has a certain degree in the past. Like, for instance, how the hell are you going to get your astronauts to where they're going to go without them having to spend 500 years in stasis?
Sure.
You want to be able to blip out somewhere, blip back into another part of the universe to do something because that's the breadth of the story. The characters have to get from A to B, and it cannot take 16,000 years. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do we solve that little problem? We wave our hands.
This is true, but when I suggested this, I wasn't necessarily thinking about the big scale Handwavium. I'm talking
All
more
right,
about.
well, bring it down for
me. Let me go ahead and give you an example of the small scale. In this traveler forum that I was dealing with, they were talking about how to do stealth for ships. And one person brought up that the biggest problem is getting rid of waste heat. That it's going to be detectable. Hell, it's going to melt the ship if it goes on long enough. And my comment is, you've just got to use a little bit of Handwavium if you want to go ahead and make that something like that work. And honestly, that's when the idea occurred to me. That's exactly what this is. You can get close to something being scientifically doable, but there's going to be, in science fiction and other things, that last mile that you have to get to where you want to get. And
right.
Sometimes you've got to wave your hands to get that last mile to complete.
Well, yeah, it's just like, okay, if you're writing a book and you say we have cold room fusion, I'm not going to throw the book down. That's the last insurmountable thing that we have in that particular technology that everybody's fighting for is room temperature fusion. Well, what would the world be like if they hit that? How would that change things? How would it change how we do spacecraft? How would it change how we do every single piece of that pie? Well, suddenly that opens up a lot more possibilities for how long it takes to get from A to C.
One of the things that, say, room temperature fusion would be interesting for, and this is not necessarily about big scale. Mm-hmm. It could even not even be cold temperature fusion. It could be just more advanced small pile type stuff is you could go ahead and have a energy generating nuclear device, whatever you want to call it, that is small enough and safe enough that when you build a new subdivision, you plant one of these in the middle of the subdivision and it powers the entire subdivision as part of the building of the subdivision for the next 60, 80, 100 years.
Right.
How would that change things? Suddenly, you don't have to send power all over God's creation. You've got small local power that serves each individual area. And that's a little bit of Handwavium to make that work. But you could take that and make it happen and make it seem realistic enough to work for the story by ignoring the technical hurdles that prevent you from making it happen.
I find it interesting when you go with that missing piece like you're talking about. You find the missing piece in a particular technology line. Like, for instance, okay, sentient AI. What would the world be like if we had sentient AI as opposed to the crap that we have? How would that change things? It's the same thing with, it's that last insurmountable piece everybody's struggling for that at some point somebody is going to solve. And then what does it change for how everything works? How does that change the flavor of your story? But that is Handwavium is making that process there. Like you were talking about with distillation of the heat. Well, okay, somehow they do it.
Well, in the Traveler universe, they use science that we don't have. They have control of gravitics. They can create artificial gravity. They can lift things off the ground with anti-gravity, that sort of thing. You can wave your hands and say, heat is translated into gravity waves by some technical process that we do not understand. There are ways to wave your hands and say, I want this outcome to occur, and I'm going to say something that is feasible within the scope of the role-playing game and or book that you're working on, and it's good enough for the readers to make it work. As long as it's not crazy, then you can make it work. And that's the art of mining and refining Handwavium. It's got to be believable.
One thing that I've really enjoyed doing with the Derelict series is showing what happens when the humans aren't involved in the technology anymore. They don't know how anything works. The artificial programs have been doing everything for so long, the humans don't understand how the technology works. And if you go to the end of that, we'll explain why that is. But it does cause this interesting problem. None of the humans know how anything works. They have to trust that it just functions the way they're told it functions.
The loves, they will happen, and you will just take it.
Terry's Pornhub channel. Feline on feline action.
If you want to see pussy on pussy action, all you have to do is sign up for the OnlyFans. Pussy squared.
Pussy squared. God. That's horrible. That's horrible.
Terrible, right?
That is horrible. You should be ashamed of yourself in really big letters.
Yes, but I'm not.
Rick says Andy wears a little mobile reactor that provided heat for Matt Damon on Mars.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice bit of Handwavium that says, we can't do this technologically now, but it's conceivable that we could, so if I go ahead and put it in, it will fly.
Yeah.
And it will solve a technical problem that I could not otherwise get around.
I made Liger able to move by itself without a drill ship because I didn't want a drill ship. So marked it up as being experimental oil rig and moved the fuck on. Had lots of reasons not to want a drill ship there. First of all, would have added a shit ton of new characters, and I just didn't want to deal with that.
I guess one of the things to deal with when you're looking at Handwavium is it feasible in the first place? You've got to look at the problem that you're dealing with and what you're trying to solve. And if it's a step too far and you don't think that the readers will buy into it, that it'll knock them out of the story, then it's not a candidate for Handwavium.
True.
Because you can't just, I need society to have changed, so I'm going to hand wave it and say that by the year 2040 that we all reproduce by fission. No.
I want to go a little further out. I want to go like, I don't know, 2700, 2800.
So yeah, some problems are not suitable for hand waving. You've got to at least be close to make it work.
Oh, okay. And live channel. Having Discord open is always a good thing. Oh, yeah, okay. It's a picture of two guys looking at an equation, and the words "then a miracle occurs" is in the middle of it to tie the two equations together. And the prof goes, "I think you should be more specific here in step 2." Yeah, I think if you have that problem, then you may have jumped the shark. But hell, why not? Depending on what you're writing, jumping the shark may be just totally fine. Maybe totally fine. Handwavium is fun. It's especially fun when it's not Handwavium people think it is. Like Willie
You're
Pete.
solving a different problem than they think you're solving.
Well, like phosphorus, there were phosphorus rounds. They have been used. They have been used relatively recently.
They are still in use.
And they're still in use. And somebody was like, "That's not a thing."
That's not Handwavium. That is in fact fact.
That is in fact fact. And they were using it in Vietnam. No, they weren't. Yes, they were. Yeah, but that's Handwavium. Anyway, yeah, Willie Pete is nasty stuff. It is indeed. Talk about that in Oceania.
Anything that burns in water, it's nasty stuff.
What about magnesium? Magnesium's not nasty. It's not toxic when it burns.
Set it on fire.
Well, then it's just hot, It makes a beautiful light, too. Unlike Willie Pete. Willie Pete is scary. What else have you hand-waved, Terry?
Let's see. Brain implants. In the Empire of Bone series, I have taken the step to where they can have implants in their brains to enhance their capabilities and use those as story plot elements. And that is an extrapolation of technology that we have today taken to a very scary place.
Right. Right. Block technology in the Derelict Saga is more or less the same kind of thing. It basically creates telepathy and enables telepathy to a certain degree. The technology does. So that solves a lot of problems in some other instances and gave me a lot of different ways to do things. And creates a lot more. But basically it's looking at instant messaging and doing thought to it. That's all it takes. And the nanites running around in Princess Kelsey. Yeah, that's the other one.
Yeah, that's another bit of Handwavium. A lot of the Empire of Bones technology, when it comes down to the personal level, not the star drives or the space weapons, a lot of that is Handwavium to take concepts of what could be possible and make it into reality by skipping all those little fussy intervening steps where science actually has to work.
Yeah, that thing. That thing.
Insert miracle here.
Insert miracle here, yes. It's not important how it does it. It's important that it does it and that everybody understands that it does what it does.
And they have buy-in, that they can accept that it's done. There have been stories that I've read where they've done Handwavium and you're like, no, I can't buy this premise. I just cannot buy the premise you're putting out here.
Do you happen to remember one?
No, because those are the type of books that I put down and say, we're done here.
Fissionable Human Beings by 2040. Yeah, we're done here. What 2040? What universe? Explain that one first.
There have been story stuff that I have read that I'm like, I believe the possibility of vampires is more likely than this.
I had that kind of reaction to whatever the moon, Dead Moon or whatever it is that Klein's wrote. I didn't really care for that book.
I'm sorry to hear that. I haven't read it, and it was one of the ones that I intended to skip because I'm just not into that.
It's not what you thought it was, but it's enough where I was just kind of like, no, I don't buy this. Okay, whatever. But I finished it. I finished it. I'm sorry I did, but I finished it. Excuse me. Nanites are another thing I think are inevitable, given what we see now in the technology. And I was going to say, sometimes go to Slashdot. There'll be people talking about a paper that will have been written and will either have been peer reviewed or not. But those are always kind of fun if you're looking to mine information or mine ideas about things that could happen in the next 10 or 20 years or something along those lines, or if they were able to scale it up, which is really the question, is can they scale up some of this technology that right now is in its infant stage? If it's already in its infancy, though, that you can basically make the extrapolations and hand wave it, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I mean, Michael Crichton was doing that even with Jurassic Park, and people bought into it, and it made about $1 bazillion. So the Handwavium is not a bad thing. That's a boon, not a bane. That is a very unhappy cat.
She is a cat that hates other cats. It's been this way since we got her. She despises and loathes other cats. She's fine with dogs. Hates cats. She's the most loving cat by herself that you would ever see. But put her around other cats, there is trouble.
Rick says Crichton was doing it with Andromeda Stream in the 70s. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. That's another one that was really awesome. Everyone's story their Handwavium was in an alternative Earth. They had the issue figured out. We were just taking advantage of it.
That's a good one.
Huh. I already forgave her spelling, Rick. If I hadn't, then we'd have booted you off the show a long time ago.
Hey, we're writers. We don't care about spelling.
For me, it's squirrel. For Terry, it's cat. And he wanders off. That sounds about right.
She was trapped up on the things. I had to pick her up because there was no way down that did not involve going past another cat. And she wanted down.
Oh, okay. You were being a good daddy. Got it.
I was being a good daddy and giving her a way to get back down onto the floor so she could not have to cross by another cat. Sassy, if you go over there and harass her, I am going to mess you up. Scoop.
Rick says that's what spell check is for. Dude, how often do you want like word check in your head? Not spell check, but word check. In other words, is this the right word? Or you have that awkward moment where your brain basically skips and says, I can't find the word you're looking for. Here are some alternatives. Were you thinking about tomatoes? Press A. Were you thinking about onions? Press B. Were you thinking about something else? Press D. If you were thinking about the word fuck, press E. E.
You know, I would totally pay money for that program. There's so many times I'm like, what the fuck word am I looking for? I have no idea what the fuck word I'm looking for.
Oh, God, it's horrible. It just gets worse the older you get.
I know that I gave you a copy of this, and I'll show it to the others.
Oh, yeah, the flip dictionary.
Because it's proven useful to me on more than one occasion.
I need one of those, but I need it in my skull. And for
Flip
it to
dictionary,
just know what the hell.
And
it is very useful.
It has just examples of, let's see if I can get close enough to read. Can it read? Can it read? There we go.
There we go.
Where you look for things in there, and it gives you other words that might be related to it. And believe me, that is very useful at my age.
I need one of those, but I need it to be in my brain permanently.
Yeah, I do too.
It's like I'm looking for the word, and I think this is the word, but it's not, and that looks stupid. I know what I was trying to say. I just can't remember the word for it.
He says it's that an app. No, it's a book.
It is a book. They do not make an app, to my knowledge.
God knows it would be useful, although I'd have trouble entering what I wanted to. At least this I can flip to a page and go, yeah, here's the sort of the thing I'm looking for.
Right.
And once you
sort of
start
the
hitting
thing you're
words
looking
that
for.
are sort of like what you're looking for, then you can use a thesaurus to go ahead and figure out what other options might work.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what an LLM was doing behind the scenes. Another coding challenge for me? No, no, that's beyond my pedestrian capabilities. If I had a lot of money, though, I could hire people.
If you won the lottery, you could hire people to run you would run a project to make whatever the fuck you wanted to make. Doesn't matter if it's going to make a profit. It's just going to be Paul's project.
Yeah, that'd be nice. There are lots of things I would do. But I end up recreating Scrivener.
But better.
I doubt it. My biggest problem is like all these text editors that they're really are just overblown. You got Novel Writer, you got Scrivener, you've got a dozen other ones, even Word, etc. Inevitably, there's like 80% of the features you don't use.
That's
There's
Scrivener.
a ridiculous amount of features you just don't fucking use.
The problem is that the 80% that you don't use is a different 80% for everyone else.
That is very, very, very true too. You do not use the document reordering that I do, because I pull around and change where things are and everything else without having to do cut and paste, stuff like that. That's what I have. That's what I find useful in Scrivener, being able to lay out, change things, and see the plot at a glance. That's what I love about it. Its dictionary is horrible. It is pretty useless. And there are probably much better opportunities to do things outside of that. I mean, basically using Zed and hooking in with A-Spell and some other things would be really nice with plugins, and just doing it there. It wouldn't be a problem. Compiling is a pain. I have a weird issue that each text file in a Scrivener project has a different font and size, and I don't know how that happens. Because they've each got a different style attached to them? I would check and make sure they're all like chapters, for instance, instead of scenes. Something on those lines. That sounds really weird.
Have you thought about sending a message to the Scrivener people saying, I'm having this problem?
Yeah, have you thought about that? You could jump on the forums and say, what the fuck? What have I done?
I've screwed myself. Help me unscrew myself.
Yeah, the corkboard drag and drop. Look, Scrivener is what I think Douglas Adams was urging us developers to do in 2000 when I saw him at Java 1. He said Word is a horrible, awful thing and must be burned to the ground because it does nothing for writers but get in their way. And he was describing exactly the kinds of things that a text editor needed to be for fiction writers and for nonfiction writers. And most of what he described, Scrivener does.
If Scrivener was better at receiving my dictation than Word, I would use it.
Oh no, it's not. It's just a. And I get that. I get that. You use the tool that makes sense for you. I just find it funny that I was at that keynote where he did that, and then I found out about Scrivener 1.0 when it came out, and I was just like, one look at it, and I was like, holy shit, Douglas Adams must be grinning somewhere. I love it. They're like, I don't know, try reinstalling.
I basically,
Yeah,
for Word, I treat it just like a basic text editor. I've set up in my documents the normal font so that I when I start a new line, it's actually indented inside there, and it plays the way I want it to play. And then I never change anything. Ever. I just dictate into it, and it puts the output the same every single last gleaming time. And if I could do it I could do it in a just Notepad or Scrivener. Each of those will accept the dictation, but the accuracy goes down by a notable, measurable amount, and so I don't use them. And I have no idea why it would be different based on where it's going into. That seems kind of weird, but there you are.
Because you're talking about Microsoft native APIs going to a Microsoft native app.
Yeah, see, at the time I didn't realize that that Microsoft had bought Nuance, so I did not realize they were in fact sleeping together.
Oh yes, and it is in Holy Communion. Very
It doesn't
unholy.
have to be an unholy communion. If they go ahead and bring in the Nuance software speech recognition into Word and it works just as well as the standalone app, I will cheerfully use it there.
Rex asks, are you still using Dragon or are you using Microsoft's voice to
I
text?
still use Dragon. I have the most recent version. Version 16. Professional.
Interesting. Professional version. Your professional text to speech or speech to text. Speech to text.
It's pretty accurate. I am perhaps less accurate in it because I am not clear in how I enunciate and how I speak. That's a me problem.
Yes. That was a problem with voice way back in the day. Was it took a lot of training for it to get to know your voice and how you enunciate or do not enunciate certain things. It's kind of cool. It's training though. That was a long time ago. The voice was
My fear is
thousands
that
of years ago.
Microsoft will go ahead and include the Nuance app as part of it, but it will have to be online to work.
I am really becoming a Luddite about that shit.
I don't like being online because I'm easily distracted by things. I'll go check the email. I'll go do this other thing. If I turn off the wireless, I have no choice but to produce. But if the app adjusts to the point to where I have no choice, then I'm going to have to figure out a way to work around my own failings.
If the app has to be online, that means it has to be transmitting data back to home base. I
That's
don't
what
want
their mobile
anything
app
going
does.
back to home base.
The Nuance mobile app, the Dragon Anywhere app that I do not have, if you're using it on your phone, it is transmitting your voice back to the mothership and sending you the text that you are reading.
Yeah, fuck that.
Sure, it's more powerful than my home computer, but it's its own set of problems.
Demanding use of
And
cloud resources.
then you've got
yeah.
cloud strike going on. You can't work anywhere because, the entire thing is down.
Not
Why's your
cloud
book late?
strike.
Cloud strike, man.
Crowd strike. Crowd strike. Fuck me. Yeah, pro writing aid in years ain't that way. Yeah, I just hate the fact that we're locked down. Like that's why it's like if I can move to some of these open source projects, I don't have that problem anymore. Like moving to Zed. Okay, they're going to add AI to it. Well, I'll turn that shit off or completely remove the fucking module and build the goddamn thing myself. I have that option and I can use it and add plugins to it and do whatever I want to do to that text editor to make it mine and make it work the way I want it to work. As opposed to some of these other offerings where they're going to charge me, $199 a year or whatever else it is, and then I have to be online all the time. And then guess what? When that time runs out, I can no longer open my files. That's not cool. It's not a good look. It's not a good thing to be. Not a good solution to choose, in my humble opinion. And I don't like them having my writing. I'm sorry. I just do not like them having anything that I did up in the cloud and having it being used by their LLMs to train without paying me a dime. It's ridiculous. Speech recognition is already open source. Carnival, I think it's called. I think. That used to be the one. I'm sure there's still one out there, Chris. I don't know how good it is, but I'm sure there's one out there. I haven't looked at voice stuff in a very long time. What are you doing, Terry?
As far as what?
You're staring off into oblivion and tapping your mouse on your keyboard. What are you doing?
I'm actually listening and thinking about Dragon and how I would change my workflow if I had to do that. And it's tough when you have to address your own failings rather than let technology, solve your problems by just unplugging it.
That's yeah. I don't know about that. I don't know about that at all. I don't know. There's all sorts of things that I can imagine doing. I don't have time or strength because I'm supposed to be writing. That's my job, as opposed to designing software nobody's ever going to use. But seeing these editors come about that are really badass and really kind of plug and play with different rules you can do. I could add a linter or whatever to make sure it's going to be an EPUB format when I get it out. Create a plugin for that. I can create a syntax highlighter for different things and different rules. There's stuff I can do with that. There are open source projects I can import to do all that. Bug garbage, blah, 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 blah. You can go on forever. And who knows, maybe in my next life I'll create one. I doubt in this life. But I'm still having fun checking out new possibilities. I seriously am considering going back to just using a text editor and see how things go. We'll see. Not sold on anything yet. What do you think, chat? What's missing in your life?
And if it's women, we don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, if it's women or men, we don't want to hear about it. We are not here to be your hookup source.
We are not your love connection, okay?
That's right. We are not your love connection. I like that. Back to WordPad. Money, 42. Non-binaries. So you want uncompiled code?
As his love mate, yes, apparently.
Sorry, I just had to go there. That was so bad. It's because I've been looking at C++. Horrible binaries are a problem. I don't know what other writer solution I would try and crack at this point. Writer problem I would try and fix. Apart from the fact that what we really need is somehow need something where I can take this book and say, okay, go to the following places and upload it into the following places. You know, so I don't have to go to 15 different places to upload my goddamn book. Missing that first chapter of my story. I keep writing it, but it keeps disappearing into the trash can. Missing the whole
then
story.
Obviously you need to rename the file. Just rename it File 13 and start writing. It'll be fine.
Rick says, serious question. I'm looking for examples of single character stories. Current work in progress is going to be about a third, one character trying to survive.
I suggest the post-apocalyptic story I wrote. Single point of view, his story, and the people he picks up on the way.
And is there a problem with occasionally jumping into somebody else's head, just not being a regular?
It is all him.
No, I'm saying in this particular case, is that verboten or not? Not how you wrote it. More of a question for Rick.
Gotcha.
Make the social media multi-poster software, but for books.
Are you looking for a tablet to read your books on that doesn't lose where your place is when you lose your power? Might I suggest Dead Tree? Dead Tree is the new app that makes sure that you can read during a power outage.
Lights not included.
Lights not included.
Needs to be single character all on his own except for the dog. All alone in the middle of BFE, Saskatchewan.
Well, you know, what about that movie that Will Smith did that he was in New York after the zombie apocalypse and it's just him and the dog? I know that was based on an actual book that I have not read, but maybe?
It's a good book.
What is the name of the book? I can't remember the name of the movie either.
Last Man on Earth.
I think that's the name of the movie.
That's not the name of the movie. The original story is called Last Man on Earth.
What was the name of the movie? I Am Legend.
In it. I Am
Rick
Legend,
Chopin
yes. I Am
So
Legend.
yeah, I suggest you study that book because it sounds like exactly what you were looking for.
Yeah. That is a really good one too. What's the problem you've got with doing that, Rick? Just not sure how to keep moving it? I keep moving it forward with just a single character.
Goals.
Because there ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's what you have to have. If it's just you, just one person by itself, goals. The pursuit of those goals and the obstacles that the environment and, say, the monsters, if they are zombies around there, would be in your way, would be complications to achieving the goal. Maybe he's traveling to get to a place that he believes will be safe. But to get to safe, he has to go through danger.
It has possibilities. It's a very general question. Use dialogue to move things forward. No monsters, just nature. Hey man, nature's pretty
boring.
terrifying.
That's so boring. Wow, what are we going to do today, Bob? I think I'm going to talk. No, don't talk, Bob!
Going to tiptoe through the tulips.
This week, I'm going to learn to speak French. That is not a plot complication, my friends.
I don't know. Have you ever tried to learn French from a bear?
That's a tough one.
Man versus God.
Maybe it's
My
a coke
deities
bear.
level up.
Cocaine bear.
Coke bear. Cocaine bear, yeah. Here you go, Rick. You're out there in Saskatchewan, you come across a Kodiak that is lost and has snorted an entire couple of kilos of cocaine. There's your plot complication, buddy. You're welcome. Went to write a story about a
been
Luddite.
overtaken by uplifted bears, and they are hungry.
All of a sudden, I want to write a story about a Luddite in a cybernetic dystopia.
Okay.
I want you to consider something. If you've read the Derelict Saga, if you're at least somewhat familiar with it, you know that at some point the AIs turn the lights off. You can't tell me there isn't a bastion of what everybody else considers lunatics hiding out somewhere in the domes who basically have been waiting for this moment. Because they have everything.
That would be, yeah.
Because I bet they would have all the technology that they need and everything else. It would be so fucking bizarrely cobbled together of bullshit.
Our day has come.
But you cannot tell me for a moment there wouldn't be those people. There wouldn't be like the boys just hanging out ready to come out there and start fucking shit up. You know, that story needs to be written. I just haven't put it together yet, but it is one of those ones where I really want to write that. It'd be so much fun.
You know,
no problems, Andrew.
You've got your far future cyber utopia, and then you've got the Amish. How do the Amish live in a cyber utopia?
Find out next time on... what would you call that show?
I have no idea.
Why have the next Cooley original? Yeah. Steampunk Amish. I'm just trying to come up, silicon churning silicon. I don't know.
Silicon butter.
So silicon
The
churn.
story will churn and you will be aroused.
The timing is perfect. Wow.
Sassy decided to go ahead and make some trouble. And you'll note that she is over here, so she got what she had coming. Come here, you.
Uh-huh.
I didn't do it, Dad. She was mean. She was real mean.
Well, if you have a question or comment about this episode, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can find me on Mastodon at Paul_E_Cooley at VYRSE.social. You can find us on Facebook at the Dead Robot Society Writing Community, where we mangle all the madness. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS Podcast, where we're live every Saturday at 3 p.m. CST. Like and subscribe so you know when we're live. And if you want to support the show and help us pay those pesky StreamYard bills and etc., you can find us at patreon.com/DRS Podcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRS Podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive live shows, like the one we're going to have in just a little over 10
where
minutes.
we might discuss silicon butter in more detail.
There are some other Handwavium things that we need to talk about, like, for instance, sexual equipment and whatnot.
Is that Handwavium or Handstrokium?
And at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Nate Cosby, Antoine Batts, Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. And with that, we are out of here. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday and your weekend, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye.